Good morning, everyone. My name's Marion Davis. I'm Director of Policy, Comms and Strategy at One Parent Family Scotland. Welcome to this OPFS webinar, where we'll cover some of the research findings in our impact report on asylum seekers and refugee single parents, as well as hearing from one of our parents that we work with in Glasgow and our colleagues Jana and Ethelinda from the multicultural family base in Edinburgh. Thanks for coming along today, and it's great to see so many people interested in this topic, and also to have representation from different sectors, including those from our political representatives. So One Parent Family Scotland, we're the Scotland's national single parent organisation. We provide life-changing services to single parents and children through specialist crisis interventions, single parent tailored benefits and money advice, and family support, where health and family wellbeing is a key priority. We've got both national and community-based services, and we campaign with single parent experts by experience for structural and systemic change, recognising their unique role as caregivers and providers for their children. We have around 70 staff, and we work with over 8,000 parents, children and young people every year. So today, my colleague Toni Valbonesi will outline the main findings and policy actions from our research on asylum seeker and refugee parents through our 6 local services and National Advice and Information Service. We have captured key areas of concern for asylum seeker and refugee parents. We'll then hear from Jana and Ethelinda from the Multicultural Family Base in Edinburgh, and they'll take you through their purpose and mission in supporting asylum seekers and refugees. But I thought I'd just give you a quick background to the impact reports and the research we do to achieve those. We started researching single parents' experiences through our services in March 2020, and we're now on issue 26 of these impact reports. They were originally called the COVID-19 Single Parent Family Impact Monitoring Report, which doesn't really roll off the tongue, but they were born out of the COVID outbreak in 2020. And we had a lot of staff who were still working on the ground, and they were feeding back to us the issues that were affecting families during the lockdown. So it means we've been able to use that information on parents' lived experience to streamline our services and target the support that families need. We also use this information for our policy and influencing work. Actually, the COVID inquiry have told us that we were one of the few organisations who captured this type of information on real life experiences as it was happening. So as after the pandemic, and as we've transitioned now to a major health and financial crisis, we're now in a cost of living crisis where families on low incomes are facing major challenges. So we decided to continue to gather information from our services, and this particular webinar is about one of those pieces of research on asylum seeker and refugee parents. We'll welcome questions or comments from yourselves, so please use the Q&A function to do that. I'll now hand over to my fantastic colleague, Toni, who's done so much work pulling all of this research together. Over to you, Toni.
Okay, well, thank you, Marion, and good morning, everyone. I will now just put my slides on. There we go. Our October impact report last year highlighted a number of challenges for asylum seeker and refugee parents. These issues run throughout the report and focus on the UK asylum system, racism, prejudice, discrimination, isolation, language difficulties, limited access to public funds, and poor access to good quality housing. Parents' feedback highlighted that they are profoundly disadvantaged by the social, cultural, and governmental barriers, including the systems, strategies, infrastructure, and policies which discourage difference and diversity. The following short quote, I believe, captures the sense of powerlessness and vulnerability that asylum and refugee parents are experiencing from one day to the next. Throughout the report, we have a sense of the fear, the stress, and the uncertainty which individuals undergo while trying to come to terms with a different environment, a new set of cultural rules, values, and norms as they struggle to navigate an asylum process and rebuild their lives. Three main themes emerge from the report. These are health and well-being, money and family income, and employment. These themes generated the most feedback. The report refers to family experience of health and welfare, as we can see from this quote. It is noted that the distressing reality of living hand to mouth and the impact on overall family well-being. Another parent is quoted as saying the following: "Living with uncertainty makes me feel anxious and afraid. I'm scared we'll get refused asylum again and be sent back to our own country." When we consider that asylum and refugee parents will often have significant underlying physical and mental health problems because of fleeing conflict, persecution, forced migration, violence, and exploitation, then we can better appreciate the heightened difficulties that they face on arrival to their host country. And then this is further compounded by not being made to feel welcome and accepted, not being able to take up employment or suffering stigma, and by a loss of rights, entitlements, dignity, and respect. Our impact report does not investigate these difficulties, but I wonder how easy it is for those who have fled their country for whatever reason to provide medical documents or a clear outline of past treatments. It is not surprising that they are more susceptible to illness due to factors around displacement, such as depression, respiratory conditions, and general poor physical health. Is it any wonder then that families' health and well-being will be adversely impacted? Parents made clear to us that they face particular challenges accessing healthcare support services when they are unaware of what they can access and health information is not in their language. Our October report then considered money and family income from a parent's perspective. We know that while they await the determination of their asylum claim, children and families seeking asylum in the UK generally have no recourse to public funds, which means they are prevented from accessing most mainstream benefits, and they are generally not permitted to work. If they are destitute, they may be able to access a parallel system of support from the Home Office in the form of accommodation and weekly subsistence payments. However, the feedback that we have received strongly indicates that these payments fall short of providing a basic standard of living. During September and October last year, our report noted that OPFS supported parents experiencing unsuccessful application claims, often because of a difficulty navigating a complex welfare system. In this climate of a cost of living crisis, where family budgets are increasingly tight and debt is at an all-time high, it is deeply concerning that asylum and refugee children are marginalised financially, with their future outcomes restricted, even to the point of just being able to survive. Surely, our country must hold on to being a compassionate and fair society which avoids a system of draconian welfare, whereby destitute families in the most need are alienated and forced to live in degrading living environments, or have to return home to unsafe conditions. Over the course of September and October, parents told us about the importance of finding work, staying in employment, and the flexible working arrangements to cover the needs of childcare. Most people who have claimed asylum in the UK are initially not allowed to work. And this can be really difficult because they cannot move on with their life and cannot earn money whilst waiting for a delayed decision from the Home Office. Without the opportunity to work and the exclusion from the labour market, this will mean that asylum seekers' material and emotional well-being will be affected. And it will also hamper their integration into society, both in the long and short term. Our report spotlights 3 case studies from our Glasgow and Dundee services, depicting the shared experiences of asylum seeker and refugee families. So first of all, one family of 3 from Nigeria had fled domestic violence and had been living in the UK for 5 years. Their asylum claim was initially rejected and they are now going through the appeals process. The house which the family are living in has mould and dampness, which has ruined beds, wardrobes and clothing. The children have reported being racially abused and discriminated against because of their ethnicity within their local community. They are dependent on the help of others. The second case study relates to a single mother, also from Nigeria, who has 3 children currently living in Glasgow. After the death of her husband, she was forced into a marriage with her own cousin. So she decided to flee and seek asylum. She has been in Scotland since 2019, and this mother was only recently offered a work permit after years of not being able to work or access education. She has now accepted a job in the NHS and attends college part-time. The family have been moved to Home Office accommodation, which is cramped and unsuitable, and it is in an area which they are unfamiliar with. And this has caused the family to be even more socially isolated. Our final case study is from Dundee, and it is slightly more positive as the refugee family in question now have an indefinite right to remain in the UK. But the biggest challenge has been the language barrier, which, for example, resulted in miscommunication when discussing complex issues such as benefits. The mother was refused adult disability payment as her GP did not give supporting information regarding her medical conditions. This was due to a miscommunication when interpreting her health issues. So the use of interpreter has not been without its problems. This parent's health issues further impact on her social isolation, as she often finds it difficult to get out and about. The report highlights some of these issues that these families have faced, but as we can see, are universal to the wider vulnerable group, including communication and language barriers, limited financial entitlement, lack of opportunity to take up work. Integration for both parent and child is often problematic because of stigma and judgmental attitudes. Integration into schools are hampered by lack of access to financial and digital resources, and sometimes through a lack of empathy and compassion from institutions. Our October report puts forward a number of policy actions which we believe are necessary to improve the lived experiences of asylum seeker and refugee families, such as the ones highlighted in the case studies. So, at a UK government level, we are calling for treating people with dignity and fairness, giving shelter to those at risk, empowering families to rebuild their lives and integrate easily into society, providing clear points of contact and information to support and advise on their immigration status. For the Scottish context, we are calling for cross-party working to advocate for asylum seeker and refugee single-parent families centred policies, for more financial assistance with living costs, such as transport, and accessing a minimum income guarantee. Also, improving education, employment opportunities, and access to digital services. At a local government level, we want to see clearer information and suitable interpreting services, and a Scottish welfare fund specifically geared up to respond to asylum and refugee emergency issues. We're also calling for more assistance to deal with health, housing, education, and employment issues. So, these were the recommendations from our October 23 report towards all levels of government, UK and Scottish governments, and at a local government level. That brings us to the end of my presentation on our October impact report, and I hope that I have given you some insight into the lived experiences of our asylum seeker and refugee parents, who openly shared the trials and difficulties that they face on a daily basis. I hope that you have found this slide presentation useful. The Spotlight topic section in the report concludes from input by Multicultural Family Base, which Jana and Ethelinda will be able to talk more about, but I can now hand you over to our guest speakers and for their input. So thank you very much for listening, and Jana, I'll let you take it away.
Thank you for inviting us. Like Toni said at the beginning, we are working for a multicultural family-based organization based in Leith. We just celebrated our 25th anniversary, and I'm a project leader of a project called Bright Choices. Thank you very much for inviting us. Can you hear me all right, everybody? Okay. At Bright Choices, we work with people affected by owner-based violence, and we work primarily with women, 93% approximately, who are experiencing difficult relationships. These difficulties can stem from disagreements about how people are supposed to dress, behave, who are they supposed to marry, how to treat children, about finishing education, if that's important at all in their life, and who are they allowed to be friends with. We support women who are survivors of FGM and people who are forced to marry. As Bright Choices, we were in a three-way partnership with SACRO and LREC, started to work in June 2015. So almost 9 years later, we are offering practical and emotional support to our service users. From experience of supporting our clients or service users who are refugees, asylum seekers, we can see that migrant single parents might face challenges shared by all single parents in relation to paid work, childcare, poverty risk, or health. And for instance, a single parent woman of color may face obstacles that white woman or a man of color may not. That's our experience anyway. We acknowledge that everyone has their own unique experiences of discrimination and oppression, and these social inequalities or intersectionalities, as you might know them, are gender, race, ethnicity, sexuality, poverty, socioeconomic status. As Toni mentioned, no recourse to public funds is a big one, or income-related benefits. Citizenship, of course, immigration issues, being here on spouse visa, for instance, and then splitting up or getting divorced, leaving them in kind of limbo, not knowing what to do. Health-related stigma is a complex issue that becomes more prevalent, and this can lead to health-related trauma. Our experience is that we now work with more neurodivergent service users, people who were recently diagnosed with autism or ADHD. Our service users might process information differently than neurotypical service users, and that, of course, reflects in our line of work. We are accommodating those needs, and we are evolving with them in order to offer best support we can. This can lead to further isolation, where access to healthcare and housing becomes a struggle, while single migrant parents still need to care for their children, pay the bills, maintain a job. They're sometimes facing work overload, feeling that they must deliver, they must do more, perform better, multitask, showing ability to do the job if they were given the job. It's a lot of stigma around that. At the same time, they deal with their children's life outside household. Children might be bullied at school. They might not fit in. So it's a lot of things going on in our service users' life. Sorry. And of course, this puts single migrant parents under a lot of pressure. They are new to Western parenting, and parenting skills, that's not a made-up term by me. That it's always or often referred to Western parenting. They feel that they are expected to deliver in a different way than they were used from their country of origin or as when they were children. So it's just really something new for a lot of people. So parenting skills are different from experience they have. In high-income countries, both single parents and migrants face higher risk of living in poverty, plus immigration policies make migrant dependent either on the labor market, what is available for them, or on their families, spouses. Oppressive identities or types of social categorization, for example, race, sex, age, sexual orientation, abilities, national origin, often leads to elevated social isolation. And we created some time ago a monitoring tool that we call Matrix, and we can see that sometimes people engage with us and then they just drop off and we don't hear from them. So we try to maintain that contact and relationship. It's really difficult when they are facing personal issues, and we can see delay in divorce or legal separation process as our service users see themselves depending on their partner, especially when they came here on a spouse visa. This makes transition to single parenting more difficult, as it's affecting their legal status, visa residency, especially when language is an issue. We are seeing people who are remaining in abusive relationships because they are under enormous pressure from family, and they might be financially abused further on. We see a lot of cases where benefits are coming to father's account, and therefore woman has, or mom has, no access to money at all. So she often stays in relationships and gives us the usual, well, it's not that bad, my friend has it worse, or something like that. So this enormous pressure from family it can be really daunting for people who we work with. I'm just getting ready for my quote because I'm aware of time. So I would like to conclude with a quote from our service user after they got separated from their abusive partner. It's a little bit longer, but I think it kind of sums it up quite well. I thought I will never make it alone. I was new to this country with mentality so much different than anything I've ever known. I see things differently now. With support from Bright Choices, all of a sudden I have freedom to make decisions. There are no toxic fights and endless arguments. I believe I can be a good role model for my kids. They started to tell me recently that they like new me more. They are happy to see me smiling. And through me, they can understand that maybe they can be successful in life without being scared and sad every day. I understand my newly gained responsibility, and I also enjoy my independence. I feel sense of belonging, closer relationship with my children. I grew up with father who was never there for us or for my mother. It just wasn't a thing back then. I wanted better family for my children, so I held on and suffered in order to keep the family together. Today, I know it was not healthy. I've learned this the hard way. I see that my children are trusting me now, and it makes me proud. I can do this. We are family, and finally, I can get some sleep at night. Thank you very much for having me.
Ethelinda, did you want to say something more in general about the work of Multicultural Family Base?
Yes, absolutely. So thank you very much, Jana, for that sort of forensic look at the work that Bright Choices does. As part of the work that MCFB does with their service users, Bright Choices is one of our, I would say, our projects that works with the slightly older adulthood mainly. And we do have other projects that work with early years. We have a 4 to 7 project. We have junior groups and Four Corners project, a mosaic group, and Safe Haven as well, a mums group, and a BAME mentoring project as well. So there are lots of parts that make up MCFB. I would say one of the crucial things is for the project leaders like Jana and the project workers, is they work towards a very therapeutic way and try and offer the support to people so that it makes sense to their issues and their lives. And it works out how they can help them walk with them to deal with these issues. We try to be flexible and tailor the support to the family, to the young person, to the parents, to the children. And I think that that's an integral thing. And as their CEO, seeing the work that the project leaders do and the specialisms that they bring with them, the skills that they bring with them, there is always a constant need to upskill, to change. As the world changes and it shifts, we then respond to that need. One of the things that I would say MCFB are renowned for is being very solution focused with a lot of the projects that they do. Currently, we have a new project that has hopefully will start in June, which is to support our asylum seekers and refugees. And it's a project that we're doing with a funding bid through Edinburgh University. And it's working with the Science Cayley as our partner and also Lirio Academy. And I'm really excited to tell you a bit about this, because when we have discussed all of the barriers, that asylum seekers face, we on the other side are trying to do our best to increase their life chances to get a job, to have better mental health and so forth. and to feel as though they are not fully isolated. This is a new project that we hope to start, which is called New Scots Digital Connect. It's a digital life skills project, and the programme aims to connect researchers, students from the University of Edinburgh with New Scots, which includes refugees and asylum seekers, and also those from diverse migration backgrounds in Scotland. Through partnership with us, we hope to build essential digital skills for New Scots while fostering mutual knowledge and cultural sharing as part of that as well. We are working directly with the Safe Haven Project Men's Group, and they will be our audience for this project. They are mostly Muslim asylum seekers aged between 20 and 35. And their New Scots have been identified by MCFB as particularly in need of this support, as there is no mainstream provision for them. And, you know, we've already mentioned that the difficulties and the barriers that they face. And what we hope that these joint initiatives and these collaborative projects and programs help to develop and address specific needs through language tuition, employability, training, mental health support, and all of these other social integration activities that we are seeking to provide as part of the MCFB offer. There are a number of other projects that are up and running, but I just wanted to share this with you because I'm really very excited about this, and also the fact that we are partnering with our university and our students, as well as the Science Ceilidh as well. If anyone's got any questions about that, I'm happy to take them. What 3 things would you want?
Somebody has to go first.
I'm just reading the chat from, and Marion has asked a question, and
Yes.
she said that she wanted to ask Jana, myself, if we had the power, what 3 things would we want the Scottish Government to do to improve life for the people you work with? Any thoughts, Jana? I'm
It's
going to
not
say
easy.
I'm going to say funding straight away. You know,
I would probably go for that, just to continue doing the work we can, because it takes time to build relationship with people, and time is of essence many times, but also because we primarily work with women, but men in our service as well. It's quite often that our service users are hearing, well, why don't you leave him? Why, you know, not from professionals so much, but from their friends. And they come to the point when they are saying, okay, I'm ready now to leave him or her. I'm ready to leave this abusive relationship. And then it's like finding Nemo, the fish in the bag. And now what? Because the support is not there really. I mean, it's really difficult to secure some decent accommodation for our service users and their children. So better system maybe to collaborate in this transition period, when people actually do that significant decision and they decide to leave abusive relationships, so they have something to fall on and they don't feel more isolated or even in danger, not safe. It's just one of the things that I always rant about, and I wish, because I work with so many people who found the strength and courage, they're brave enough to leave. And then they come to me and they said, well, you know, but I left and I just feel that there is nothing for me. So, you know, it wasn't that bad at the end.
Okay. As I said, funding is always at the top of my list. But I would say, you know, sustainable funding for some of the work that we do that doesn't just last, you know, a year. And I'm talking sustainable funding. We're looking at 5 to 6 years so that you can actually build something that is meaningful and that is worthwhile. You know, this for MCFB. And as part of that, really looking at the rights of asylum seekers as well. They have the same rights to healthcare and education, and for young people. And I think it's these primary care services we know are stretched and so forth, but making sure that if an interpreter is needed, it's not necessarily the child of the parent that is doing that work, which we find quite a lot, and it's putting that young person in a very vulnerable position. So enough funding to be able to support the use of interpreters, enough funding to support young children, asylum seekers, particularly if they are wanting to take particular exams and so forth, might need extra time, extra schooling and so forth. I think those two things for me are very dear to my heart.
If I can, I completely second Ethelinda. We're on the same page. I would like to add that for Scottish Government, if the question is put that way, it's also going to be about funding to understand that we need supervision as professionals. We need supervision. We need also support. It's not in this line of work. We are working in trauma-informed practice, and it's not possible to switch off the light after you finish your work. You sometimes, very often, most of the time, going home with things going on in your head. How can I do this? What would I say? I have a child planning meeting tomorrow. I have an adult protection case conference tomorrow. So we need supervision. We really do, and it needs to be it needs to be put in a funding application. It's not luxury. It's something that is absolutely crucial for us as practitioners.
Very interesting presentations. That's a comment from Nina, who I think works with Deirdre Brock MP, am I right? Here on behalf of Deirdre Brock, and recognise a lot of the issues from your report findings from our casework, in particular with the welfare and immigration system. Are you advocating for lifting the work ban for asylum seekers and scrapping the no recourse to public funds policy? Jana, would you like to answer that one?
I mean, we are part of network. We are meeting with other professionals. I would not say that MCFB as a sole player is working towards the lifting it, as we don't have a strategy as such, but we are part of groups and networking that we are trying to work about this. It's being addressed. It's been obstacle in our service users' lives. So of course we are active partners in trying to implement that change. I don't know, Ethelinda, if you wanted to say something.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we've had many discussions around the table where this has, been a point. And I think one of the things, I'll sort of, I suppose, push in that direction is, what are the Scottish Government doing, in regards, where are we with this? If this is not something that can be put in place, are there other options? What other options are there?
And it's part of that. When you want to be more independent, when you want to contribute to society, when you want to be active and play active part, if this is going to be one of the quite major obstacles, how can we support you? So we are working with people and government and different professionals.
Yes, I think absolutely. The work ban really doesn't make sense. It traps families in poverty, and we have so many skilled refugee, asylum seeker people in Scotland that could contribute to our economy. We have shortages in lots of areas, and it really does not make sense to have a work ban. The no recourse to public funds is absolutely, I think, a really unfair policy, you know, and it's just not acceptable for you know, asylum seeker families, their children not having access to the same funds and the same standard of living as other members of our community in Scotland. So on both of these, absolutely, we would want the work ban lifted, and don't agree with the no recourse to public funds, and think Scottish Government should look at ways around that. Thank you. Okay, I'll just sort of finish off by really just thanking everyone who's contributed to the webinar, especially Jana and Ethelinda from the Multicultural Family Base. I think from what we've heard today, it's clear there's things we can do in the here and now. There are things we can do in Scotland through Scottish Government and local authorities, but there's some key changes we need to see, which are big institutional and systemic change at a UK level, about what kind of society we want to live in. So I think on both these fronts, so we've got coalitions that we're all part of and we work with to see these changes, and let's hope things will happen over the next year or two. I'll just finish off by giving a plug for our Single Parent Week, which is the 15th to the 21st of March. So most of us know at least one single parent, and we still do hear that single parents face stigma and judgmental attitude. So that's why we're really excited to use Single Parent Week 2024 to turn that message around. And we've worked with partners in England, Wales, Northern Ireland, and in Fife to launch Single Parent Week on Friday, the 15th of March. So we will be focusing on single parent recognition. That is the theme of the week. We'll be looking at financial inequality, the need for childcare, mental health and well-being, and then on the last day, community and connection, where all our services will be having a celebration on that Friday to sort of recognise Single Parent Day. So there'll be a link to that information on our website in the chat. If anyone wants some information on that, we'll have a package of, I think, things that contributors can use on social media. That'll be available shortly. So that aside, I think that's us for the day. And thank you so much for coming along. And anything you want else from us, please just email, get in touch with us, and we'll try and follow up. So thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.